Our purpose at We is to change the dismal statistics of our people, particularly Māori and Pacifica people. We do this through helping small and medium-sized businesses to thrive. Our businesses need our help. So many have felt the pressures of lockdown and are facing challenges that they've never faced before. Challenges that are impacting their livelihoods. That is why we're bringing you this series to share stories of the people behind our businesses, their successes, their failures, their challenges, and their triumphs.
If you are already in business, we hope you will be inspired. Perhaps someone will share one piece of gold that makes a difference in your business. If you've been thinking about starting a business, we hope that you will be motivated to start your own business venture.
We hope that by sharing these stories, we can help small businesses on the road to recovery all across New Zealand, Australia, and the Pacific.
So grab your cup of tea and whakarongo mai.
Kia ora te whānau nau mai, haere mai. Welcome to our cup of tea this evening. I'm really excited to share this one with you tonight where we speak to Tyrone from No 6. And what's going to be even cooler about this guy is that not only are we going to talk about him and his business, I'm going to pester him and ask him about content creation that might be able to help you and your business too. So welcome along, Tyrone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Kia ora, thank you.
No worries. Now, I've kind of let a little bit of the cat out of the bag, but how about you tell us a little bit about what No 6 is all about? What do you guys do?
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, kia koutou, my name is Tyrone Tangata Makiri. I'm one of the founders of No 6, along 4 others. And basically, No 6 is we help creative entrepreneurs tell their story. Traditionally, we've been doing kind of content or video content for many people, from organizations to community groups and different kind of individuals in their businesses. But I guess our real passion and even why we started was to really look at people like ourselves and how we tell our story. So our kind of, I guess, history or whakapapa for us getting into business is that we were all being raised in a low socioeconomic community. So most of our founders are from the same community. We could never, we felt like we weren't the ones telling our story of our community. We always saw, I guess, the bad stories and all these things that mainstream media said about us. And we said, hey, now let's tell our story. Let's tell it from our perspective. So I guess kind of we've been 3 years deep now and in a position now where we're like, hey, how do we help others like ourselves that really want to reclaim their narrative and really want to grow as individuals and potentially grow their business so they can tell their story in the most authentic way. And yeah, that's basically No 6.
That's really cool. I really resonate with what you said because that's, I guess, what this whole cup of tea is about. It's about changing those stories that are out there, and the media portrays Māori and Pacifica business in such a bad light. And, I just got sick and tired of listening to it. And so you're so right. We do need to change the stories that are out there, and what better way than to tell our own stories. And that's what you do. You help business owners to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
That's really cool. So you started 3 years ago. You started with 4 people. Now you've got 5 people. So tell us a little bit about what it was that you did before you started to get into business. Like, what were you guys doing before you decided, yeah, let's do No 6?
Yeah, cool. So I guess before we started, to myself, I used to work full-time at Auckland Council as a community development advisor. So basically working in communities, more specifically around young people and alcohol and drugs. So not giving young people alcohol and drugs, but looking at how do we mobilize communities to really support young people that are vulnerable to such a space, from doing stuff on the ground to doing stuff around policy. So for myself and the work that I was doing, I was able to kind of, I guess, make some relationships, which one of those relationships was making it with our local music and art centre, which is now called Te Oro. So at the time, I was kind of conversating to them around, hey, it would be so cool if we could have a space where we could just invite people that are young, that have a passion around media, because it's been something that I've kind of always had a passion, and just see where it goes. So we managed to get a kind of off slot a time where the kind of space wasn't used, and fortunate enough to kind of get it, I guess, free. And I was like, yeah, perfect. Let's just take that spot and let's do something. So basically put out the call out and said, hey, people from around the community, let's come together and let's see what we can do. On that day, 5 people showed up, and all those 5 were the ones that kind of officially started No 6. So basically, that's how it kind of started. A lot of the people that came through, they were all at uni, doing their own kind of jazz. All of them were at uni, some finishing off their masters and whatnot. And then, yeah, we just said, hey, let's just put our kind of combine our skills and let's go actually go and do business. And fortunate enough, the space that I was in, noticed that a lot of people needed content. So we're like, oh, well, here we go. We've got people that are interested in media or learning media. We've got organization or parts of the organization saying they need videos. Well, let's just ask if you can pay us to do the videos. And that's kind of how it started. So we've been doing that ever since August 2017. Yeah, 17 until now. So yeah, that's kind of the story.
And was there anything that sort of held you back from going into business? Like, was there something that kind of made you go, oh, is this really what we want to do?
Yeah, I think it's kind of that normal fear of money. I guess for myself, I was I guess I had a pretty good job. Like the work I was doing was quite meaningful. I was able to help community, and that's kind of stuff that I was always interested in around, really helping our people, both, predominantly Māori Pacific, because the work that we do was a Māori contract, but at the same time, or more targeted Māori, but at the same time got to work place-based, so in local. So that's something that I'm really passionate about is my community. So, the fear of jumping out of something that was meaningful, jumping out of something that I was paid well, it was kind of like I could have stayed there and been there for life. But what I kind of realized through that passage is that I got really comfortable. Just kind of showing up, getting ready for work, showing up, going to town, doing what is needed. And I kind of realized through that process that A, I'm getting comfortable, and B, I feel like I can do more with my time. So that kind of spurred me on to go, hey, let's just save some money. Let's put some money away. Had to work with my partner for myself, and then just really give myself a buffer and just say, hey, let's go. Let's just jump out. So that's kind of how it started. Saved up to about 8 months of savings, and then just pulled the trigger, really.
That's cool. A lot of people go into business and they don't save any money beforehand. So it's good that you had the insight to be able to do that. And then, so like, how has life changed for you guys now that you are in business?
Yeah, I think when I finally jumped out, the kind of first kind of year or two was really crazy. I think one of the things I guess that was beneficial with being in employment is that as much as even if you can get a lot of creative freedom, there is always someone, I guess, pushing you or someone giving direction. So I think for those first year or two, for myself, it was just hard to be really productive because it was awesome. Got out, had the leisure of having some savings, which also came a little bit of a curse because I was easy like, I don't have to work. I got YouTube here, can watch some videos. I can really chill. So I think the real struggle was trying to like overcome self, overcome, why is it I jumped out? What is it that we need to do? How do we kind of get into that mode? And then I think after a couple of years, especially now, I feel quite strong to say that I understand the startup phase of what it takes to do a business, and something that I'm really passionate about is helping people get to, I guess, the point of like actually feeling comfortable in this phase. So yeah, I think it was all just that hard part of just like getting over self and having to unpack while trying to figure out, I don't know nothing about business. I know informally how to make business because something that I was really interested in as a kid was selling clothes and selling CDs when I was a young person. So I was like, yeah, I know how it kind of works, but getting into this kind of formalities of setting up legally, doing constitutions, doing all shareholders agreements, all these kind of other things. I was like, I don't want to do that. I kind of now feel comfortable to kind of go through those such processes and then go through how do you make sure you can get contracts or work so you can continue to do what you want to do.
Was there anyone or like were there people in particular that you put around you to help you to do those things? Because it's not really that easy just to bang out a shareholders agreement or constitutions and trying to bring, 5 directors together to have a shared purpose and all those sorts of things and keep you aligned. That's not an easy thing to do on your own. So did you have people around you that you went to and sought for help or mentored you or anything like that?
Yeah, cool. So I guess one of the things that I was kind of strong in and really fortunate that through my work I kind of learned how to kind of make, I guess, set foundations. So I'm a big believer in setting your purpose and setting your values and setting the vision and really getting strong in that. Obviously, because it's something that people around you can kind of buy into. Make sure that you, I guess, not hold yourself accountable because that's a pretty strong word, but making sure that you can, really know your intent and really know why you're there. So I did most of that kind of work for our team, and within that same time, we did have some support, like locally. There were people around me that were just getting to business or had been in business for a bit. So I guess kind of was able to buddy up and kind of sit and just kind of explore together, as well as our team just sitting with others in the community. And I think at that same time, we were fortunate enough to get into one of Pacific Business Trust's early programs, which was called Hatch. So at that time, it was really great. It came at the right time because we had just kind of started and there were other kind of young Pacific business owners kind of just getting started too. So we're fortunate to have, I guess, a little bit of a network to access at that time, which definitely kind of led us to someone that could help us with setting up the constitution and the shareholders agreement, to others that helped set up our insurance and all that kind of stuff. So all the kind of back end stuff, which had no idea, just Googled, and when you Google it, you find like American type stuff. You don't find the New Zealand stuff right away. So you're unpacking all this stuff, and it was quite good to have people that you could just access at the time. And that was, for us, was through being a part of an young accelerator program at the time.
Yeah, it's so important to tap into networks and being able to ask and assist, because you're right, I do it all the time. I Google search stuff and I'm like, okay, that doesn't really look like that has got anything to do with anything in New Zealand. Especially I put New Zealand, and it's still sometimes it's not quite right either. So yeah, it's good that you've been able to do that. So let's talk a little bit about the challenges that you've faced so far in business. 3 years in business. We'll talk about COVID at some stage too, but are there any other challenges that you've faced, and what are some of the things that you've learned from those challenges so far?
Ooh, challenges. To be honest, I think the big one has been, I guess, what I think is the biggest challenge forever is myself. And I think everyone goes through the struggle of self and trying to, understand what value you have, and trying to unpack yourself through the journey. So like for me, for all of this, like that's been the biggest journey, or biggest thing that I've had, a challenge that I've had to overcome and still overcoming to this day. If I had to talk to the tangibles, I think, and it's funny that yourself in terms of accounting, I think one of it's been just cash flow, making sure that not just about putting money away, because I think that's something that I've kind of grown, I guess, a bit of a skill in how to kind of, I guess, do that kind of work. But I think when it comes to, having responsibility of others, and then all kind of other things that are unforeseen, because we're still learning about business, trying to make sure that you have cash flow, and making sure you have the proper business model. You kind of realize that for us, like, we started doing work where we were charging really low. Like, kind of didn't really think about how it would kind of factor into paying off our expenses. We're like, really just kind of undervaluing ourselves. And it wasn't until we saw others in the market and how they were playing, we still didn't go to that level, but we're like, oh wow, we're like not in 1/10 of what they're charging, and we feel like we can do kind of similar stuff, which all comes back to that value of self, right? Some people are a lot more confident and go, hey, I'm about this is what we do. But I think a lot of our journey was like learning, we do have more here. Obviously we can continue to grow our capabilities and grow what we do. But we've got to start unpacking why is it that we see ourselves as not less, but see ourselves as something that's not as significant. So that was the hardest challenge, is just constantly unpacking self. And I think now where I'm at within my journey of business, it's a different unpacking of self. I don't think I have a struggle of my own value and struggle of my own confidence, but it's the scale. It's the scale of how you do work now, and it's like, wow, like it's like, can I be responsible for so many others? It's a different kind of conversation you now have with yourself. So I realized, these different kind of stages and different level of consciousness that comes from learning about yourself, and yeah, it's still an ongoing journey, and I have to say that's the biggest challenge because everyone that jumps in definitely knows what it feels like.
It's quite funny because like I do a lot of business planning and stuff with business owners, and one of the questions that I ask is, what is your biggest threat, or like, the one thing that really you need to overcome? And it's amazing the number of people that put themselves. And it's amazing there are people that don't. It's, it might be cash flow, or, it might be space or time or something. But a lot of people are very self-aware, and they know that actually the only real thing that's getting in their way is themselves. So what are you doing? Like, are there people that you follow? Do you have a business development coach or a personal development coach? Like, what are you doing to help grow yourself as a leader, as a business owner, as a human being?
Awesome. So I guess just to touch on that point, like at times I've had different people kind of mentor me or kind of coach me. What I've kind of been doing is surrounding myself with people that kind of have the same ambition, just to kind of peer accountability or peer mentoring. And I guess it works better because I feel like one of the things that I've noticed is that personally, this is me personally, I work better when I know that people around me are keen to go as far as they can, but also people are also in the same struggles as myself. Now, I guess there's a flip side of that. You kind of chase your tail a little bit because everyone's got the same problems. So you always need I guess someone to kind of introduce another perspective that potentially could help you grow. And I guess when I get to those phases, then I guess I get more clear around, okay, like one of them, like specifically we talked about going through lockdown as being, okay, we need HR support. There's a few of us that say we don't know actually what to do. So then that triggers me to go, okay, who can I find that can actually support us and kind of support us in that way. But I think in terms of self, it's really even putting myself around people that are unpacking themselves and constantly growing and constantly learning about who they are as people, because then it keeps me accountable as well to go, okay, cool, what is it that I'm currently faced with and challenges I have, so then I can do this and potentially share to others what I've kind of learned for myself, and if that could be of any support to them as well.
Yeah, that's it's so important. I have this saying that, to grow the business, you've got to grow the leader. Your business will only grow as fast and as much as you do. So I think it's so wise as a business owner to be constantly surrounding yourself with people, whether it's coaches, mentors, peers that are constantly developing themselves. Because the more you develop yourself, the better your business is going to do, the better you can manage your team, and also better you can serve other people around you.
Totally.
Yeah. So let's talk about COVID. So COVID hit, and you guys pivoted your business a bit. So you went from doing media, videos, and that sort of stuff. At what stage during COVID did you realize you were going to have to make a change, and what exactly did you do to change?
Yeah, cool. Good question. I guess to kind of bring it back, I think for ourselves, we kind of knew that content was going to be the eventual kind of shift anyway. So kind of us jumping into business around content, we knew that times like these, we didn't know COVID was going to happen, obviously, but when time came to go more digital, people would be on the lookout for people that can help them make that transition. So fortunate for us, we were able to attract, some projects, no matter through this lockdown. I guess we've been as busy as we have before it, because we knew kind of the type of place that we were playing, people would kind of ask us and want our support. I think what we kind of realized through the process though was that is we we can definitely create content and help others to create theirs. But we started noticing that it was more than just content that people need supported on. Obviously, there was all the tangible stuff, the stuff that I've talked about around, HR, cash flow, and all that, which is definitely support that is needed. But it really was around unpacking self to get on the camera, get in front of people, because some people have so much awesome things that they're doing, but they're afraid to capture it, or they're afraid to kind of take out their phone and capture a story just to put it out there. So for us, we realized actually how can we be more beneficial to the process of not just helping them with the end product, but all that kind of stuff that comes before getting to that position. So we've kind of pivoted, not necessarily because of, not being have enough business. To be honest, if we stayed where we are, we could actually see how much more you can make right now around it, because we actually have a bit of a working model. But I think we realized that actually we want to do more, and we believe we can do more, not just by ourselves, but by the sheer way that we've kind of been able to go around creating content. We believe we can find others that can be part of our team to really make sure that we can give people the real support they need when it comes to telling their story.
So for small businesses out there, why is it important that they create content?
Awesome. So I think this is a great question, and I'm also going to caveat and say we're in myself personally, I'm in it myself to do this. And what I mean by do this is that obviously we know that the kind of current climate is digital. All of us are on our phones, all of us are on our computers and laptops, and we watch different types of content. Now it's very hard to say, without knowing who is it that you want to talk to and who's that you want to serve, what platform you should be on, what type of content you should be doing. But I guess the most important thing that everyone should know is that everyone has, I guess, a personal brand. Now, whether you're in business or whether you're just looking to be employed, obviously we all know, or if you don't know, when people try and employ you or people want to do business with you, they're going to check your Facebooks or your Instas or your LinkedIn to really see who the type of person you are. Now, I'm not going to say what to post. That's a whole nother subject of how you kind of go about it. But really, all of us have a personal brand. All of us have a personal brand, whether we're controlling it or not. So the point of creating content or doing stuff around it is, how do you control your narrative? How do you control what people perceive of you? So when they go and see you, they get the right version of you. So that's kind of really the push that we are, and even the push that I'm investigating myself. I would go to my socials now, blank. Because we've been helping others do their work, and we're like, okay, we're not even helping ourselves. So I'm saying this all too, that I definitely know that space and definitely know the struggle it takes to create your own content. But really it's around how you control your narrative. So that's why personally I'm on these types of calls, is because I'm like, hey, there's some stuff that we know, there's some stuff that we can share. Let's get our face in front of people, so then we can tell our story and really promote the stuff that actually is going to hopefully attract people to work with us as well.
One of the things that we were speaking about before we jumped on live was that it can be quite easy to start content creation. I mean, it's not that easy, because you've got to be comfortable with being in front of a camera and listening to your own voice and all that sort of stuff, right? So there is a fear that you've got to get over. But once you get started, it's not that difficult and you learn stuff. But what I find is that people don't continue to do it. So we start and then we stop. Why do you think that might be?
Cool. I think there's so many kind of, I guess, reasons for that. I think kind of like the gym, right? Like everyone knows that you need to eat, and also eat healthy. Everyone knows you need to do those things, eat healthy, go out and exercise. But we always constantly find ourselves in a bit of a rut where, you go for 2 weeks strong and then you're missing for another week and a half, and then you came back for another couple of days and then you're missing for 3 months. I don't know if I just explained my gym journey right to in front of you guys, but that's kind of the rhythm. And I think for me personally, what I've kind of found is it's again myself, that challenge of self and unpacking self. But one of my biggest things that I learned from my journey of doing content is that I never planned the back end of it. So I was doing everything from filming to editing to kind of coordination, and really I burnt myself out. Like that's kind of the easiest way I can put it. I got up to about 53 vlogs when I did it, and I was like, bruh, like I can't keep doing more. Like I feel burnt out. I don't even know if this has made any difference to, you know, the stuff that I'm doing. So then you kind of go in that cycle of like, is this worth it? And I think for me, you know, coming back to the whole controlling the narrative, I realized it is worth it. You know, whatever that type of content, that's some of the things you have to unpack and strategize around what's best for you to do. But it is worth it to kind of play in that space. But for myself personally, it was actually, how do I plan a bit better? How do I plan about my content? How do I make sure that I can potentially get others on board to support me? And not doesn't always have to come in monetary value. You know, if you really actually talk your vision and really see ways that you can benefit other people, you know, there's ways to kind of barter time and trade for stuff. You know, so or save resources to kind of make things happen. So that's for myself, is that I've kind of pocketed away a bit of resources so then I can get people to kind of come on board and be editing for me, you know, and that's kind of the learnings. But what I say is, don't go and do all of that. Like, I think you have to jump in, figure out what actually works, what doesn't work, and then things will start kind of popping up where it's like, damn, maybe I need the support, or maybe I'm best suited to be in a different position when I'm kind of doing this, you know. Maybe vlogs isn't me, maybe it's more podcast, you know. Maybe that's kind of where it is. So I think firstly it's getting into the game and not making all these judgments around, I need this, I need that, you know. Get into the game and then slowly unpack yourself, and really learn what is it that you need. And I guess drawing it back to self, and everyone has different things that holds them true. But I think for me, I wasn't, through my kind of early journeys, I thought I was solid around, you know, my purpose and values, but I guess I realized actually I kind of drifted a little bit. So I've kind of come back a bit again, you know, coming back to drawing board, coming back to rewriting it the thousandth time, which is probably going to be 10,000 times by, you know, by the time my time's up. But I think for me, I need to constantly reevaluate that and just constantly check in, which I kind of didn't do, and then kind of fell into burnout and all that kind of jazz too. So, bit of things I've kind of unpacked there, but I think, you know, everyone's different in terms of why they probably don't stay consistent at anything. You know, there's many things we don't stay consistent at. But I think like health, game of content, the game of being consistent is important. Especially when you know, I guess, the reason why, and that's controlling your narrative, but also making sure that you can share the lovely things that you do. You know, I believe I'm doing some really wicked stuff, and I want to be able to share that, and find other ways that I can connect with others and really do some really cool stuff.
So many really good things in there. And I think also when we think about social media, like, I know that I get probably a bit like you, a bit burnt out with it, or it's like, oh my gosh, how do I get onto LinkedIn, my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram, so that they're not all just the same one post, the same words just spread across, that people don't like that, you know, different audiences, different wording, blah, blah, blah. It can get so overwhelming and just be like, I spend all day on Facebook and social media, and sometimes people are just like, I'm over it all. You know, how do you get that balance of just getting off social media?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And yeah, I guess to that point too, it's like, I don't know, I'm going to be real vulnerable and say this, is like, I realize I'm an over consumer as well. So I think one of the struggles was like, I'm lying to myself that I'm on social media just doing my work. You know, I was looking at other stuff and researching, as people may put it. And I think, you know, part of what comes in there and why I want to talk about that a little bit, it's like kind of like the gym, and kind of like when you go to the gym and you see people all got the muscles and you're like, oh, bro, I've been here for a bit now and I ain't seen no, I guess, things happen, you know. So I think that was kind of one of my kind of learnings. It's not to say that don't go on social media and don't consume any material anymore, but again, coming back to self, you know, it's like, you know, why am I getting distracted and not posting my stuff? It's because I'm looking at other people and the cool and wonderful things they got going on, and not myself, you know. So yeah, that's kind of things that I had to kind of unpack as well.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. Okay, so last question, because I'm weary now that we're at 8:30. So looking back on your journey so far in business, maybe what's the one thing that you'd like people to learn from your experience?
Yeah, awesome. I guess one of the main things, and I kind of shared that I'm, you know, really, I guess, confident now in terms of understanding the startup phase. Definitely kind of traversing into a space where it's a bit more at scale, and how do you play in that space, which I'm glad I'm a newbie and kind of get to go back to kind of learning from the kind of ground zero and unpacking it. But one of the things that I kind of holds true to both of those spaces is that it's all about value creation. And I think that's the secret sauce that no one talks to you about, because kind of shed light. I guess I'm thinking about counting and money. I always kind of focused on money. Money. Even as a kid, like that was kind of my thoughts, and always kind of focused on like, how do we get money? How do we get money? Really, it's about how do you focus on that thing before money, which actually creates the value for people to give you money. And I think that's kind of or the thing that kind of isn't shared enough to people when kind of in business, starting business, or even way before that, is that actually how do you serve people? How do you solve their problems? If you see yourself being into entrepreneurship, how do you really solve people's problems? How do you create value? And there are many ways to create value. Once you focus on creating value and understanding how that kind of works, then from that, if you're solving a really big problem for someone, they're going to give you money. So it's kind of trying to shift there. Well, this is for myself, and I don't know if any others out there that kind of suffered from, man, I need to make money. I need to get that resources. That's what I need to put my energy and focus into. Definitely, you need to obviously look after that and manage that. Not to say don't look at it, but really, if you can create value, those things come. So I guess that's kind of what I wanted to leave, and something that I continue to share, because I believe it's not the only source, I guess, or only tip, but I think it's definitely a secret source there. Once you really grip and understand money follows value creation, everything else changes.
I couldn't agree more. It's like everybody has the same amount of time in a day. So it's not about how, it's not about your hourly rate or whatever. It's not actually about getting more time, because you can't get more time, but it's about how much value you can make in an hour. So how much value can you give to somebody else that somebody else is willing to pay for your, whatever it is that you're exchanging, that fair exchange. So true. And our good friend Sarah Colcord, she says, good stuff, bro.
What's up?
Awesome. Hey, look, mate, thank you so much for joining us today. So if people want to come and see you, no6.co.nz, come and check you out, because you've just done this now, and so you've told everybody you need to create more content, so we can look forward to more content on your platforms coming up.
Totally, you'll see it all.
Awesome. Hello. So thank you so much, Tyrone, for meeting with us today and for sharing your experiences, but also your wisdom around media and content creation for our small businesses that are watching today. And love your kaupapa, very, very similar to what we are trying to do. So really excited for seeing what you guys do in the future, and grateful to have you on the show today.
Awesome. No, thank you for having me. And yeah, hopefully, anyone got anything out of that. So yeah, see us on No6. See my own platforms of Tyrone, Tangata Makiri, and yeah, hold myself accountable. You guys heard it. You guys will see more content.
Awesome. Now, team, tomorrow night we've got Aaron Archie from Tuki Recruitment. He's been in the recruitment industry for about 20 odd years. So he is going to share his wisdom with us tomorrow night. So I'll see you all tomorrow at 8 p.m. And thank you once again, Tyrone, for being with us this evening.
Yes, thank you.
Mā te wā whānau.